What's up, y'all? It's your girl Chanel from Complex to Simplicity. Happy Tuesday. I hope that you had a great weekend and that you had a great Monday and Tuesday. I so have something on, so please don't think that I'm like in here butt ass. um, Pretty much, this is like my summer house where I don't really fully dress when I'm home. It's just my husband and I that live here, and so yes, you're gonna see me with a lot of like camisoles, tube top looking things. Don't worry, your girl's appropriate, she's clothed. So today's vlog has a lot to do with self-awareness in relationships. I know you're gonna say, she's spoken about self-awareness before, but more so I'm talking about it in the context of relationships specifically. I actually have had a rough patch. You know, we all go through like stressful times in our lives. I felt like a little overwhelmed and stressed a bit with my day job. Of course, when you're married, you have your ebbs and flows, your ups and downs. So, you know, I experienced kind of a down moment for a while, and finances, you know, I feel like just when you feel like everything is good, bills come knocking at your door, right? So it's just been a little bit of everything, but you know, the way I try to handle my stressors in life, of course, is to pray to that almighty Jesus Christ above, as well as to try to stay emotionally strong and focused, and not let it get the best of me to the point where you know, you're like depressed and you're down and out, right? As we know, God rest and bless the dead. Kate Spade, they said she took her life. She committed suicide. And I forgot homie's name who was in the food industry. We got 2 reports of suicides within a week. I almost said allegedly because the conspiracy theorist in me sometimes questions people in the entertainment world if things really go down the way they say it goes down when it deals with them passing away, unfortunately. But they said and reported that these deaths were due to or at the hands of suicide. And I've always made it very clear from the onset of me doing Complex to Simplicity that mental health is very important. Maybe it's because I work in the social work field for my day job, where I've had a lot of clients who struggled with mental health needs, different diagnoses, and I've actually visibly have seen, you know, how tough mental illness can be, especially if you're not really engaging in the interventions that are recommended, right? Recommended by a psychiatrist, psychologist. And, you know, I've spent many of years off and on having to be in the emergency room with my clients because they were either a harm to themselves or someone else. So I take mental health very, 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 very seriously. So when I go through some of the hardships of life, I try to make sure I hold on to my faith in God, and I also try to rationally and, you know, deal with things with balanced emotions. I know for some that's easier said than done. And so yes, I've had, you know, a little span of some stressors coming at me. It happens, it's normal, I'm human like everyone else, right? I was just saying to my coworker friend today, all the subject matter that I discuss on this website, I'm not above it. That's why I always try to phrase things using the pronouns we, right? Because I'm not about the conversation. I am talking to myself as well when I talk about a lot of these deep, intricate, controversial and thought-provoking topics. And so when I say I want to talk about self-awareness today, it's more so under the confines of romantic relationships. And maybe even it could be applied to friendships. Sorry, I feel like I'm like salivating. It's gross. And so being married for 3.5 years, almost 4 years, you know, I've learned a lot about myself even more. Of course, I've learned more about my spouse, and I'm pretty sure he can say he's learned a lot more about me, and he's learned more about himself. And so I was saying to my coworker friend today, for those out there who are in marriages or who wish to be in marriages, I believe from what I've learned so far, I am not the guru. I am not the soothsayer, so to speak, of all things marriage. I've only been in the game for like 3 minutes, meaning 3.5 years. And so from what I have learned in my time of being married and in my time of being in a very long relationship prior to marriage, is that if you're with the right person, I truly believe that they're always going to try to push you to be your better self, to be more healthy. And even though in the moment it may feel like, oh, you're like hurting me, you're like killing me right now, these arrows, these darts I'm taking, this ouch, right? It's for the better, you know? So when my husband feels the need to hold the mirror up and say, wife, these are the things I need from you. What's going on here? You know what I'm saying? I'm not having the happiest moment right now in this marriage. I think it's important to take heed to that. And even though it's easy to want to be in your feelings, it's easy for me to want to now start turning the tables and like, well, I feel this and I feel that, and you don't do this and you don't do that, right? And when you do this, it makes me feel this, right? It's easy to want to just like deflect and turn the tables or turn that mirror around to your better half. But it's essential, as uncomfortable and hurtful as it can be, it's essential, I believe, for us to really sit and process what our spouse or our significant other is really expressing to us. And it's funny because a couple of weeks ago, I feel like the end of May into June, I've had a lot of moments with my girlfriends, right? Which is great because, you know, we're busy. Life happens. Some of us are married. Some of us have married with kids. Some of us are single, don't have kids, whatever. We still got a lot of stuff going on in our lives. And it's not every day that we get to like link up and chill and have like great conversation. And so a couple of weeks ago, I had the pleasure of being, you know, hanging out with two of my girlfriends, and the topic of relationships came up. I remember saying, you know, because these two particular girlfriends of mine are single, and I remember saying, you know, girls, like, gear up for difficult conversations, because in relationships and marriages, that's par for the course. Like, your significant other is probably gonna tell you about yourself, and it may make you feel like, whoa, no, you know what I'm saying? It's necessary, all in how they do it. It should be done out of love. It should be done in a respectful way. It may come out firm sometimes, depending on that person's frustration level, but it should still be non-abusive. It shouldn't be where you're walking away feeling like you're the worst person on earth. It should be where, as much as it kind of hurt in the moment, you walk away with clarity when you process the conversation. And, you know, I found in my short term of being married and just overall being in a relationship for so many years that, as uncomfortable as it is to sit in that seat when your better half is expressing their concerns with regards to either what they feel they're not getting from you or whatever, I find that, yes, you have to deal with your feelings, right? You got to be able to weed through that, walk through that, process that. But once you're able to get past what their truth is, how their truth makes you feel, I think it's imperative to then be able to say, okay, I love this person. I signed up to do life with this person. So if they feel like they're not getting these things in the relationship or in the marriage, then this is what I'm going to need to do, you know? Now, of course, we're talking about things that are normal, healthy. I'm not talking about, you know, your spouse is asking you to do something that's just like abusive or like detrimental to yourself or someone else. No. But of course, like the normal range of things that are needed and healthy, the normal ingredients that are needed and healthy in any relationship, any marriage. And for the single people out there, a lot of times you may say, wow, she talks to the single people a lot. Yes, because I have loved ones, quite a few, who are single and who want marriage and love like the rest of us. But I feel like a lot of people walk into these things blindly. I know I did a vlog maybe a month ago, weeks ago, talking about what has your mother taught you about men? You know what I'm saying? For us women who are heterosexual, you know, what has your mother taught you about men and how to deal with them and when dating them and things of that nature? I feel like a lot of times a lot of women walk into situations blindly, walk into marriages and relationships blindly. And then when the tough times start happening, because remember, in marriage and in any relationship, tough times come with the territory. It's not all, as I say, sunshine, rainbow, and unicorns. A lot of times you're going to find yourself questioning, why the hell did I get married? Why did I marry this fool? Or like, you know what I'm saying? You're going to find yourself having those days. That's normal. But it's being able to have the wherewithal to say, you know what, as much as this is hurting my soul right now, if my partner or my better half, my spouse is saying that they're not getting some of their needs met that are a necessary thing for this marriage to work, then I have to be willing to take that, to own that, and to roll up my sleeves and do what I can. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. If you're the one expressing to your spouse or your partner, your significant other, you know, there's certain things that you're not getting in the relationship, in the marriage that you need, that are essential, they also should be able, as much as it may hurt and feel uncomfortable in the moment, to say, you know what, I love this person way too much, and I'm not giving up on us, and this is what needs to be done. This is what I'm just going to have to do. I'm going to have to suck it up. And it's funny. My mom, she's a very wise woman. I've said this since the birth of Complex to Simplicity. She's taught me so much, and I'm so grateful for her. And now I'm so glad that as a married woman, you know, when necessary, because I don't share and go to my mother about my marital affairs, but if I ever feel like I need clarity on something as it pertains to a wife's perspective or just what husbands need in general, I'm glad that I can have that conversation with my mom, you know, and she'll be real with me and say, listen, you know, this is kind of what men need at this stage of marriage. These are kinds of the things you may find yourselves going through. This is probably what you should consider doing, you know, and I know and I realize that a lot of people may not have that kind of guidance. Sidebar, my parents have been marital counselors off and on for quite a few years, you know, through the church. They do like Christian marital counseling. So I know if I ever really needed clarity on a particular matter regarding marriage, I trust, instead of going to a girlfriend or, you know, this person, if I'm gonna go to anybody, I'll trust in going to my own parents, you know. I feel comfortable going to my mom when it comes to wife type things, you know. Like I said, not where she knows all my business in my marriage, but if I really felt like, oh my goodness, I'm going through a hard time, I need clarity, I know my mom is going to be able to give me the wisdom and the necessary direction that is needed from a neutral standpoint, where she's not all in the business, but she's able to give me enough knowledge and tools that I will need. You know what I'm saying? And I recognize that a lot of women may not have that kind of healthy support, wise guidance, and I definitely know a lot of my girlfriends, I don't think that they have necessarily, they may not all have that, you know, either. And so that's why I'm passionate about kind of expressing and talking about certain of these topics to my single friends and just single people that I happen to be in conversations with, because I love my friends enough to not want them to walk into situations blindly. I didn't walk into marriage blindly. Of course, there's still a lot of things for me to learn, but I think I had an overall realistic understanding of the gist of what it could be, right? I had my parents who were a great example of what a healthy marriage is, but also I was able to see the reality of marriage. I had a mom who throughout my life would talk to me about important matters of womanhood and relationships and friendships and marriage and different things. So there was meaningful information that I've gotten along the way. So I didn't walk into marriage with blinders on. I knew that there was going to be a day that I may roll over in the middle of the night and look at my husband like, why the hell did I marry you? You know what I'm saying? My mom used to tell me that's normal. Way before I was even in a relationship. She said, you will have these days in marriage where you can't stand the person. You question if you still even want to be married to them. Like this is par for the course in marriage. And so with my girlfriends, when we were together, you know, I was just discussing how, you know, get used to having uncomfortable conversations and a certain level of transparency, even if you feel like in the moment it's hurtful, or how you interpret it, you feel that this person is going to, they're giving you the heads up that they're going to do something to go against the relationship. I said no. When a man actually expresses any form of doubt in his mind or in his heart about the relationship or about his faithfulness to the relationship or whatever, I know as women, we be in our feelings. I get it. It'd be so easy to want to take that as, oh my gosh, you about to go against our relationship and marriage, what? Or whatever. But I said a lot of times what's happening is this man is making himself vulnerable enough to let you know, hey, I'm feeling like I'm on shaky ground here. You know what I'm saying? Something's going to have to happen or give, because I don't want it to get to that point. Now, I'm not discussing to the T my conversation with my girlfriends, but I'm just using that as like an overall kind of situation. So for me, I had to learn, even in my relationship, when I was just dating my husband, that just as expressive as I am, he is too in his own way, right? Now, I may be expressive right in the moment. I feel it right now. You're knowing how I'm feeling right now. A lot of men, they may not quite handle things that way. It may not be where I feel some kind of way right now, and you're going to know right now, right? That's my style. My husband's style may be like, I feel some kind of way, but I may let this slide for a little bit. But then if something else comes up, oh, you're going to get the whole full enchilada about how I feel some kind of way, And I had to learn, because I was always used to being the expressive person in all of my friendships and relationships. So it's like, especially like in a romantic relationship, it's like, oh no, I said it, so it is what it is, right? Deal with it. Not necessarily anticipating that that person's gonna be like, but this is how I feel about you, And so I had to get used to that really quickly in my relationship where, my husband made it very clear, even when we were just dating, that he too had a voice in the relationship, and that when he feels hurt or frustrated or annoyed or stressed, or overall feels some kind of way about something happening within our relationship, that he is going to speak his piece, right? And I don't think us women give men a lot of credit, because if I'm being honest, when my husband wants to read me my rights respectfully so, like he comes with like, it comes with like factual information. It's not all, like some people, they'll like be so dramatic and have all this craziness attached to it where you kind of get lost in the dramatics from what the message is. Like my husband has a real uncanny way of saying what he feels, and it's like boom, boom, when you're like, you know what I'm saying? It's done in respect, of course, because I wouldn't tolerate any disrespect or anything like that. It's done with respect, but it's so raw and it's just so bam, and so I have had to learn over the years, like you're not the only one that's gonna have something to say, or is gonna express yourself when you feel some kind of way about something. And so I want to prepare single people out there, women particularly. Be prepared, because if you're actually dating or married to a great man who knows his worth as well, because a lot of times we always talking about us knowing our worth. I know I'm always talking about women knowing their worth. It's a huge component of Complex Simplicity's message, right? But men knowing their worth is just as important. And so if you're married to a good man or you're dating a good man who knows his worth, he knows that what he brings to the table is like everything and more, and that like the type of man that most women would like die or kill to have, you know what I'm saying? Kill to be with, in the sense of that's a good man, get ready for when they're ready to respectfully read you your rights about whatever concerns that they may have. You know what I'm saying? Get ready for those uncomfortable conversations. How are you going to handle it if your man comes at you and he's like, I'm not happy? Like, how are you going to handle these kinds of conversations? I need you single folks. I love y'all. I need y'all to understand, including my very own friends who I love dearly. Be emotionally prepared for that. You know what I'm saying? To own your shit, as I always say, and to have self-awareness, and be able to say, you know what? He's right. I can stand to improve in this area. That I love you so much that I want to make sure I'm able to meet those needs as your girlfriend. More so, I say as your wife. I feel like as a girlfriend, now maybe this works for people who have no intentions of getting married, but for the people who have intentions of getting married, I say you give all of yourself when you're married, okay? Please do not give all of yourself when you're just dating. There is no true longevity and stability, so to speak. And some may say I disagree because there's no longevity and stability in marriage. Well, if you want the kind of marriage that I know I want and have for the most part, is that this is till death do us part, right? We take our vows seriously. When we decided and signed up to do life with one another, it's for better or for worse till death do us part. Now, if you agree with those vows, then you're who I'm talking to. If you're someone who's like, yep, I see myself being married with you for the foreseeable future, then maybe what I'm saying will not resonate with you at all. Whatever, to each his or her own. I know that I got married for the long haul until it's time for me to meet my maker. Unless I'm in an abusive situation, then that's a totally different story. And I always say cheating is somewhat of a deal breaker to me, but I'll speak on that more so. I wouldn't want to be in that situation, but I feel like cheating is one of those things where you have to be in a situation to know what you would do, right? So it's easy for me to sit here and say cheating is a deal breaker. In my mind, cheating absolutely is a deal breaker, but until you're in the situation, it's probably best for me not to say what I would or wouldn't do. But if I'm getting my ass beat, I'm getting abused by my husband physically, verbally, emotionally, oh, I'm out the door for sure. You know what I'm saying? Cheating right now, I'll say I'm out the door, but in the moment, who knows, But overall, if you're in a healthy relationship, you know what I'm saying? Like, just buckle up and gear up for, the uncomfortable and difficult conversations that have to happen. They have to happen. I'm not above it, y'all. My husband has these conversations with me every so often, and I actually, in some way, thank him for that, because it's important, I think, for your spouse to be able to hold up that mirror, and it's important for me to be able to hold up that mirror for him. If we're able to keep each other accountable, then to me, the more of the likelihood that this thing will last, right? We all grow, we all have things that we struggle with individually that can seep into your marriage, which is another reason why I always say it's important to know who you are, know the areas in your life that you struggle with, that you need to figure out, because all of this stuff is going to seep into your relationship or into your marriage. It is what it is, So the more that we have a handle on those things, we have self-awareness, I think the healthier relationship or marriage we'll be able to be in. And so I think a part of that is holding each other accountable. I think it's just what it is in relationships and in marriages. And so as uncomfortable and stomach sickening it could be, and nerve-wracking it could be when you go through those difficult times, and I like to call them growing pains. When you go through growing pains, it doesn't feel good, you know what I'm saying? But it serves a greater purpose in the end, which is something I've been learning in my short years or span of time being married. And I am not the kind of person that enjoys learning life jewels and gems and just keeping it to myself. I'm the kind of person where if I learn a powerful lesson, or I have an aha, epiphany, light bulb moment, I don't want to just keep it to myself. I'm the kind of person, I want to pass it forward, right? Whatever wisdom is passed to me through experience, through, let's say, my mom, through different people, through my dad, through God himself, I don't want to just hold on to it and be selfish. I think it's important for me to pass it forward. And for those who I know who are striving to be married, I definitely am passionate about passing some of these life lessons forward. Now, that doesn't mean I'm telling my business and what exactly I went through in my own marriage or whatever, but just giving you enough where you understand, listen, you're going to have a hard time in marriage if you're not accustomed to having difficult conversations. If you're not mentally and emotionally prepared for the mirror that's going to be held in front of you, you're going to have a hard time. It's not just about our feelings and what we want and what we see and our concerns. It's not just about us holding up that mirror for our better half. We have to be prepared for the same thing to happen to us, because no one is perfect in marriages or relationships, right? I always say it takes two people for things to go left, for things to go south. It's not always where you can say, oh, it's all this person's fault. Like in situations of cheating and things of that nature, a lot of times people would say, oh, it's the person who cheated's fault. Granted, they have to own that. That is a horrible and very hurtful thing to do. But I guarantee you, underneath all of that, once we kind of unpack certain things and move the cheating to the side for a little bit, now don't get it wrong, we're going to get back to that, but once we move it to the side, I promise you, in my belief or my perspective, we're going to start to see that there were other issues happening within that relationship or marriage, right? On both sides, not just on the husband's side, not just on the wife's side. There were certain issues going wrong or things going wrong on both ends, on the husband's end and on the wife's end. It takes two people for a relationship to kind of not work out. Now, of course, certain relationships, let's say if you're just dating and you realize, oh, this person ain't the one for me. Certain things are just not to be. That's fine, right? But even in relationships where it wasn't meant to be, I still feel like both parties at some point within the life of the relationship may not have handled things in the best way all the time. Might have made poor decisions at times that affected the relationship. Like, it's not just one person, you know what I'm saying? It takes two people for things, for conflicts and for things to happen, you know? And so I try to let my single people out there know, you know, please consider that, you know? Please don't go into relationships and marriages thinking that, you know, it's all about that sex. It's all about all the fun times and us traveling. You're gonna have your dark moments. It's par for the course. And hopefully those are things that bring you closer together in the end, right? So I just like to kind of put that out there. I'm thankful, you know, my husband and I, we've had our ups and downs. I still feel like for the most part we have a very healthy marriage. And there are times where, you know, I had to buck up and like be willing to hear areas that I might not have been the greatest wife. I might not have been able to meet my husband's needs in the way that he needed me to meet them. And there are times where he has to hear from me where I have certain needs that need to be met that haven't been met quite in the way that I needed them to be met. It's what it is. It's what it is, right? So you do have to have some level of a thick skin so that those kinds of things don't shy you away, you know, or make you feel like, oh my goodness, I can't take this, I can't take this, I can't take this. Like, yeah. It's important, you know, we have to be able to have a thick skin with those things. There's a certain level of critique we have to be able to take, but just know that it's wrapped in love, and it should be wrapped in love, and it should be coming from a loving place, you know, and not saying that you're not going to have your times where you're at odds and, you know, the tones may not always feel that loving, but when I say it should be coming from a loving place, meaning I love you so much, this is why this gets me so hurt, or this gets me so frustrated, because I love you so much, and this is what I need from you. Like, we have to be willing to hear that from our spouses and significant others, and to own our stuff, right? Own our shit, you know? Like I said to my girlfriend the other day, I said, I'm not a perfect wife. I think I'm a damn good one, but I fall short. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. All I can do is strive to do better and be better for my husband, for my marriage, for myself, like, for my future kids, if I'm blessed to have any. Like, that's all you can do, you know, to forever want to grow and to be better, right? And so I just wanted to put that out there. You know, I don't want anyone's heads to be stuck in the sand where you just are not clear on certain things. You know, it all sounds cliche at times, but it's so true. You have to know who you are before you really start trying to step into relationships. How you, like I said, how you communicate when you're upset and you're hurt and you're frustrated. Like, we have to be aware of all these things. You know, how we're able to process when our better half is telling us about ourselves and we don't like it too much. Are you still going to be able to process what the person is saying, what they're saying they need from you? You know what I'm saying? Very, very, very important. And once again, as I'm continuing to absorb and it's like to really like understand, because I know a lot of times, you know, it seems that men may have a huger sexual appetite than women. Now, some women have a very huge sexual appetite, so if you're one of those women, this may not apply to you. But just know that men need physical touch and affection, which includes sex, not just sex, but it includes sex, and they need that on the regular. I think it's very easy as a woman, if I'm being very transparent and honest, to kind of put our own needs first at times and always just chalk intimacy time up to, man, yeah, that's just what men always want it, right? You probably heard me say that on its website a few times. But I think it's finally really starting to penetrate into my mind, no pun intended, that this is what men need. Women, as my mother has been able to explain to me, women more so, the way we look at intimacy is it's conversation. It's on an emotional level. We look at it kind of differently. Yes, we include lovemaking and sex, but there are other things that come with intimacy for us as women. Whereas with a man, when a lot of times intimacy for them is affection, it is lovemaking, sex, and this is something that they need constantly. And so for those of us working women who be tired, I get it because I'm guilty of it. It could be very easy to not satisfy your husband's need in this way on a consistent basis. And I was recently reminded it is very important for us to just understand in general the things that women need and the things that men need in relationships and in marriages more specifically. And so like I said, as I go through certain life experiences, I don't want to just hold it and be selfish, right? I want to be able to pass it forward as well, because I know it can help somebody else, And so as a wife, there are just certain things that, as I'm continuing to learn, I'm new to this, there are just certain things that we may have to, certain sacrifices, certain things we have to commit to. It just is what it is. And so for those out there, women who would want nothing more than to be a wife, I want you to understand what the full picture of that is. Yes, it's the romance. Yes, at times it's going to be all the fun times, the companionship. Yes, it's going to be, of course, the love making, all of those things. But it also is going to include sacrificing and committing yourself to things even when you feel like you don't have it in you to give, or you're tired beyond tired, or the last thing I want to do is cook this meal, or you know what I'm saying? It's a lot about also giving of yourself and sacrificing for the greater good of the marriage. And yes, the husband should be doing the same thing for his wife as well. But I just want to put that out there. It's not, yes, I want you to have a well-rounded understanding of, some of the things of what being married are about and being a wife is about. It's not necessarily just what's always portrayed on TV or on movies and the romance, right? Yes, keep those things alive, but a lot of it also has to do with doing a lot of things in spite of, because you love your husband, right? You love your better half. And so I was reminded of that as well. At the end of the day, we're two people coming together with our own shit, but ultimately trying to help each other to grow, to love one another to the core, and to meet each other's needs, you know what I'm saying? And then to also know how to self-soothe and meet our own needs. And I just wanted to put that out there, My husband always says a happy man is a man that is a well-fed man, a man who gets affection from his wife and who has consistent, intimate time with his wife. For men, it honestly doesn't take a lot to make them happy. Women, yes, like I said, we could fall into a rut, or yes, if we're so busy and we're stressed and things happening, those things could get in the way. But sometimes I have to remind myself, you just get to the core, the simple part of it. It's not that hard to keep a man happy, right? You feed him, you're there to support him and respect him, be loyal to him, and you give him that thing and keep it intimate and connected with him, you'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? And for men out there who may, for whatever reasons, be watching this vlog, talk to your wife, listen to her, connect with her on an emotional level. That's so, so, so important. Let her know she's beautiful all the time, right? Because the moment we step out our door, I'll speak for myself. The moment I step out my house and I'm out and about to work, or I'm out and about for my social life, I'm being told daily by other men how appealing or sexy or beautiful they think that I am. It's important for us to hear that continuously, from our very own husbands. Very, very important. So yes, connect with her emotionally, listen to her, even when you feel like, I don't want to talk about this shit, listen to her. What else? I don't want to say adore her, but like, just show her. A little spoiling every now and then doesn't hurt either, but just, you show your woman, be affectionate with her as well. Let her know and through your behavior that she's that one, you know what I'm saying? Even when you got her, that she's still that one. She's still the most beautiful woman in the room, in your eyes. Love her family. Like, the list goes on, you know what I'm saying? I think men and women want the same things, but we just may need it in different ways. That's it. Profound moment. Men and women 9 out of 10 times want the same things. We just need it in a different way. And so it's understanding how your wife needs to be loved, understanding how your husband needs to be loved, being okay with the fact that you're going to have some uncomfortable conversations that you may not want to have. And, your spouse may call you out on some stuff that you don't really want to hear, or sometimes the naked truth is not easy to take. But I think once we're able to get out of our own feelings and process what it is our better half is saying they need from us, it's very important at that point, I think, to be able to do that and to be able to make the necessary changes. And I'm talking to myself even right now. I am not above this conversation. I'm just trying to share some of my own experiences with you all. And so I just think it's important to have a broader understanding, realistic understanding of what the married life is all about. It's a beautiful life. I love it. I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change who I'm married to. I love my husband with my whole being, my core. And sometimes it's through the rough times that I'm reminded of how much I love that man. You crying your eyes out and you're just like, oh my gosh, those are the times where you're like, wow, this is good for me to know that my love is even more intense than it was 2 years ago when we first got married, when we were dating, so I just want to put y'all on out there, keep these things in mind. And also, please really, really, really develop who you are, understand your triggers and how you see the world. Ask yourself, how do you view marriage? What were your examples of a healthy marriage? Did you have any examples of a healthy marriage to kind of look towards? Do you have any people in your life who have healthy marriages that you feel can kind of give you that positive and realistic depiction of what it is? Do you have the makings to be able to handle some of the difficult times? Because they're coming, y'all. It doesn't matter how in love you are. You're going to deal with difficult times in marriage. It is what it is. But, the hope is that it brings you closer and makes your bond and your marriage stronger. And of course, I think it's uber important to keep God at the center. And I have to remind myself I can do a better job of that as well. Keeping God at that helm, that focus point as the nucleus, because it's only through his strength, I believe, that we really can make it through anything. And so, I just kind of wanted to share that with you. I'm still a huge promoter of marriage, and I love that I am married. And even when the times get real difficult, there's still no one else in this world I would want to do life with than my husband. And so I just wanted to have a little message about it. It's been about 38 minutes, so I'm gonna get out your way. Once again, continue to head to complexsimplicity.com, and until next time.